the Course in Miracles and how it can help us begin finding meaning in life, for a better life. And I'm going to talk today about how to do mindfulness meditation and why it's so important. And let's talk about how to improve your life. Yes, improve your life by having a life of purpose and understanding that you really have nothing to fear in this world. Hey everyone, James Nussbaumer, and thanks for joining me this morning on an episode of For a Better Life podcast. And Maxine and Brent of Palm Harbor, Florida, they are in my mastermind group. Hello, Maxine and Brent. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for emailing me. They had a question in, and they wanted me to explain. They said, Jim, in your books and in the previous blogs, articles you'd written, you talk about there is no hell and there's no such thing as sin. And we touched on that a few weeks ago in a podcast, so I'm going to answer your question today. And by the way, it's funny, Maxine and Brent of Palm Harbor, Florida, if you're listening, because you said you were going to be, and I hope that you are, but, by the way, it's just, always at YouTube and at my website. But anyways, they said that they saw me in a restaurant at Clearwater Beach, which is right near Palm Harbor, Florida, but towards the beach. And they came up to say, hey, Jim, we're just loving your podcast. And they soon to discover it was not me. I was in Ohio, and that's where I'm at right now. And I can't wait to get back to the Palm Harbor, Florida area. It's the Clearwater Beach area, that area in Pinellas County. But anyways, they had questioned in and wanted to know more about, the dream of separation and, why there's no hell, there's no such thing as sin. Can you explain a little deeper on this? Well, in both my first two books, I can't say both of my books now because now there's three. I've got 3 books out now. And a 4th is coming on its way. I'll introduce my books here in a little bit. But yeah, we're going to talk about that today. And, finding meaning in life is to first understand that the power within you is where the meaning of life sits and waits for you to claim it. Yeah. So I sip on some morning coffee. Nothing can give meaning where there is no meaning. The truth about the power of your true free will, which is your life's purpose, and it's got to be of passion, because therefore, if it's of passion, it needs no defense to make itself true. And by the way, if I get a little nasal along the way here as I'm speaking, the pollen in the air is really terrible, and I just got in from my morning walk. It's today is June 15th, 2018, and here in Ohio, the pollen in the air, the tree pollen, is just incredibly high, they say. And it's a beautiful, beautiful morning for Ohio, and just going to be a high of 80 degrees today. And right now I think it's like in the upper 50s, but that temperature's climbing as the morning goes on. And so I just got in from my power walk. I used to jog, but now it's almost 61 years old here in 2 months, less than 2 months. I'll be 61. I can't believe that. Oh, no, but that's okay. So now I'm power walking instead of jogging. It's easier on the joints. But anyways, let's get back to the truth about the power of your true free will, your life's purpose. And passion needs no defense to make itself true. Illusions have no witness and no effects. Well, what do I mean by that? In my first book of the series, called The Master of Everything, A Story of Mankind in the World of Illusion We Call Life. By the way, all my books so far, up to book number 3, are published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company, a wonderful, wonderful mainstream publisher. It's a family-run company, and they are just magnificent to be. I am just so happy to be in that with that publisher, and that they accepted me. Hey, if you know my story, I was in prison when they offered me the contract. Of course, I was turned down by many, many, many other publishers, and Ozark Mountain found their way to get involved with my message. So I love them for that. So, in fact, if you want to know more about that, when you say, ooh, prison, if that rings up an exclamation point in your mind, then you need to read my first book, because I tell the whole story there. Let me clear my throat here. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Like I'd warned you, I just got in from the outdoors, and it doesn't bother me that much. Just, a little, I've always been nasal all my life. But anyways, so in my first book of the series, we discussed there is no hell and there is no sin, because both are meaningless. They are illusion. Well, how can that be? Both are of the dream of separation. It's something that our ego-based mind, which is our humanness, it's something that humankind has made up. And we talked in last week's podcast of how could an all-loving Father, God, our Creator, because you do something wrong, want to cast you to an oven to burn in eternity. And then that would mean eternity is split in two, where there's a happy side and a bad side. How can eternity is one and it's whole. It's total bliss and happiness. There are no boundaries. There's no conflict in eternity. Heaven is all it is. There is nothing else. But humankind seemed to dream this up along the way, this notion of a hell and the idea of sin. But do people do wrong, and are they sinning? Well, in the dream of separation, we see it as sin. We call it sin. But if you go beyond the dream, and that's why we're going to talk a little bit today about why forgiveness gets you to your life of purpose and your true free will and the real meaning of forgiveness. So bear with me as I sip on another cup of morning Maxwell House coffee. I just love that, that morning coffee, and after a nice fresh walk, and this kind of weather is just really, other than the pollen though in the air. But undoing the illusions of the ego and onto what you truly want in life is why I urge you to learn how to do mindfulness meditation. It gets you to that alpha state, that beginning state of where all your creativity sits. And it gets you to that state of being where you're not living in the dream of separation, which means the dream of humankind. It keeps you aligned with your real home, which is heaven. So I urge you to learn how to do mindfulness meditation. Now, if you're at my blog listening to this, and you will notice that there is a link there on meditation in the right-hand side column, the sidebar. I've got a list of different things that people might be interested in. So there's a meditation. So I hope you'll look that up if you are confused or just need some help with meditation. There's a lot of good internet products available today for us, these kind of things, and they really are helpful. The internet is a solid source of great information these days. There's nothing to fear on the internet. I mean, of course, there's some scams, but we're not involved with that here. So, but if you look at hell and sin as real, then you have been deceived, and will have a tough time finding meaning in life or a life of purpose. So you need to start forgiving the notion of hell and forgiving the notion of sin. But first of all, before you can do that, before you can forgive, you have to know what the true and real meaning of forgiveness, what forgiveness really means. What's the true definition of forgiveness? Well, A Course in Miracles teaches us that forgiveness means looking beyond the dream of separation to reality, looking beyond ego illusion. By overlooking it and looking beyond, you could rephrase it that way. Overlooking ego illusion by looking beyond it to the reality you are from behind the dream of separation. And in a previous podcast, we also talked about too, and I can't dwell on that today because I don't have enough time, but if you can understand that you are the dreamer of the dream of separation, if you can understand that you are the dreamer and that your physical body in this world is of the dream, that you as the dreamer are dreaming of your physical body in the dream, if you can grasp that notion, then you are able to exercise the power of manifestation to manifest the life that you want, because you just start to dream and order your body in this world to do what you want it to do. Does that make sense? Isn't that exciting? Oh, I just love that. Yes, it's exciting. Okay, I'm going a little overboard there with the excitement, but I'm sorry. So, anyways, in the description area at YouTube, if you're listening to this, is access to the free ebook that shows you how to use the power of manifestation to your benefit, to order your body to do the things that you want it to do. Okay. And of course, now real quickly here, if I love golf, okay, but I can't order my body to beat all the records of Jack Nicklaus, the most famous golfer that ever lived. Okay, you know, I've never been a pro golfer, so at age 61, I'm not going to order my body to go do to beat Tiger Woods and all the young guys on the tour. Okay, that would be an illusion for me to do that. I would not be operating from my real self, the dreamer, the person who's actually doing the dreaming, the self, the true essence of who I am. I would not be operating from my true essence if at age 61 right now, I thought I could go out and conquer the world of golf. No, I think you get my drift there. So forgiveness is the only function there is to rid yourself of the illusion. Why is that forgiveness is the only function there is to rid yourself of this illusion? Because you are overlooking the illusion by going beyond it to the real you that is the dreamer of the dream. Yes, that is right. Forgive yourself for your belief in sin and hell. So remember, we were taught by humankind, by the ego. We were taught that sin and hell are real, and we were taught that to forgive means sort of like standing over someone saying, you should be happy I'm forgiving you, or getting on our knees to look up to somebody and say, please forgive me, please forgive me. No, let's throw all that out as forgiveness. Forgiveness means to look beyond, to overlook the illusion by going beyond it. In other words, when you tell someone, I forgive you, you're not looking down on them and with an attitude of judgment and saying, you should be glad I'm forgiving you. And I'm using that as an example. No, rather you need to be thinking, you know, I'm overlooking that illusion. I'm overlooking those nasty words she said to me, because I'm looking beyond to the reality that she really is. The ego in her that is false made those words that hurt me. And when they hurt me, it hurt my ego. It didn't hurt my real self. That, folks, is how forgiveness works. You're overlooking by looking beyond to reality. So the real truth is that you can actually increase the frequency and intensify a response to truth called joy in your life when you operate that way. So Maxine and Brent, well, I'm sorry. I hope that makes sense, but I'm sorry that it wasn't me at that restaurant at Clearwater Beach, because that would have been great if we could have hooked up that night. So anyways, another sip of coffee here. So the real truth is that you can actually increase the frequency. We can call it a frequency, but which really is pure and real thought, which is how miracles are performed. And all miracles mean that you surely are capable of miracles, but all miracles are in is meaning understanding that you are the dream, you are the dreamer, the person who is dreaming of life in this world. And the miracle means that you, while you're dreaming, can construct the dream how you want to construct it. Okay, I think I might have been a little redundant there, but I did so only because I wanted it to sink in through your thick ego-based thinking. Because we all have thick ego-based thinking, which is nothing but darkness, a dark veil covering the light of who we truly are. So, in this inner joy that I talked about, that we need to tap into all the time, is a habit of successful people all over the world and those who have ever walked this earth. So with all that, how do we begin finding happiness? Well, this happiness and this joy that you produce is the response to your forgiveness of rage and despair that I just mentioned, when you forgive her because she said something nasty that touched your ego and hurt you. Joy is what you are. It really is. There's nothing more. That's all eternity is pure joy, pure and total bliss. And that cannot be any conflict there. It cannot be split in two, such as a heaven and a hell. So joy is what you are, and here is where you're finding meaning in life and a life of purpose. Just like rage and despair, the response of joy can be an external as well as an internal cue to make a change in someone else's illusory thought process. What I mean is, the greater our identification with that person's experience, the greater the elation. So in other words, when we can identify with someone who called us a bad name, as an example, and we just make our life experience better because we can identify. Because who of all of you listening to me, who has never snapped and had a sharp tongue toward anyone in their life? I don't think anybody's raising their hand right now, because we all make these mistakes, and that's the ego in us. So we need to overlook that. And now, of course, am I condoning murder and all them things of child molestation and all that things that's going on really in prisons? No, but that's in another article that further explains forgiveness, and that's not the subject of today, but we will get to that in a future podcast. So, but a child's achievement in school, for example, when we thought that she did poorly, or a friend's marriage, when he thought love was hopeless, or the birth of a healthy baby, aren't these just great, wonderful experiences? These are mutually joyful moments, and certainly, means finding meaning in life. And I'm going to share an example with you real quick about my daughter now, who's going to be 40 in a couple of months. As I turn 61, a month later, she will be 40. Yes, I was 21 years old when she was born, and she's just a wonderful woman now, a school teacher with 3 children of her own, and her name is Erin, E-R-I-N, and she is just a beautiful woman. She looks like me. Of course, she takes a lot after her mother, too. And and her husband, Todd, is just wonderful. And they've got 3 beautiful children that are growing up. She had her kids a little later in life, but in fact, she was always worried that she was never going to find a man, and all of a sudden, boom, Todd showed up in her life. And so anyways, when Erin was 7 years old, her mother and I were divorced. Excuse me again. I apologize again. I'm blaming it on that pollen. But I purchased a bicycle for her at age 7. She did not know how to ride a bike then. And a few other adults, including her overprotective mother, who her and I weren't getting along too well at that time, suggested to Erin that she was far too young and should wait another year before learning to ride the bike. Well, I was the culprit who convinced my daughter Erin that she could do it now. She does not have to wait till next year. And she did not wait till next year. And here's what happened. She bravely positioned herself on this Schwinn bicycle that I'd bought her at 7 years old, because my dad bought me Schwinns, and that's a great bicycle. And so I did the same for her. So she bravely positioned herself up onto that bike without training wheels. I wasn't going to go the training wheel route with her. So as I held it steady and upright, it was at an apartment complex that I lived at the time, and there was a slight downhill slope through the parking lot, which was safe, and it was an area where I knew no cars would be coming by. So she bravely positioned herself on the bike. She knew there was no training wheels. And I said, well, when I asked her, I said, "Are you ready, Erin?" And she gave me permission. I gave the bike just a little tiny push down the slope, a little slight slope, as she pedaled away, shouting out with her head up in the air in elation to the world. She said, "I'm doing it, Dad. I'm doing it. I'm riding a bike all on my own, all by myself. Dad, I'm riding the bike." Well, Let me tell you, I get tears to my eyes every time I think about that experience. I could see all along her willingness and her readiness to growing and shifting forward for a better future, we can say, right? Based on this conversation today, she had nothing to fear. I was elated as well, just as her, and she proved to everyone and herself that she was not too young to ride a bicycle. She was thrilled within herself that she was improving her life. Yes, at 7 years old, she improved her life. All of a sudden, she grew leaps and bounds that year because now she was a bike rider. Well, I got to tell you that I felt a glow, a rush, and a thrill that I just cannot explain to this day, but I'm sure that you understand. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't know who was more thrilled over this whole thing, either my daughter Erin or me. And, she smiled proudly, cheekbone to cheekbone, and sporting those two missing front teeth because she just lost her front baby teeth. You ever see that smile in a little cute little girl and she doesn't have those two front teeth? Oh, I just love that experience in my mind. Okay, so personal transformation and forgiveness. Well, the thought of this memory in my own mind is still a hefty joy many years later, like you can see, and probably uh, feel the vibration in my voice. But it reminds me when I am up against growing that change for the better, that there's nothing for me to fear. That's what it reminds me, that there's nothing that we need to fear. A Course in Miracles helps us see that. Well, I'd already said that, we have to understand that we are the dreamer of the dream. We're not the character in the dream. We're the dreamer of the dream, and we design the characters of the dream. So A Course in Miracles helps. Speaking of bikes, did you hear that Harley go by? Because I'm on a mic here that you could pick up here. An early morning Harley rider just went by. Maybe you didn't get it, but anyways, A Course in Miracles helps us see that it is possible that you don't see the role of forgiveness in ending all the beliefs that the dream of separation helps bring on anxiety and guilt. See, what that means is that A Course in Miracles is trying to tell us is that when we can see that we are the dreamer of the dream, we can control the anxiety and the guilt we feel over things. So forgive them. Forgive all those anxiety and guilt feelings by overlooking separation. Separation, when I say separation, what am I meaning to clear that up? When we're overlooking separation, separation is the idea that we are split away from our Creator, that He's up there and we're down here. No, we are down here in the dream. We are at one with our Creator in heaven. We have never left. We only just dream that we've left. We only think that we've left. And also the Course in Miracles wants to teach us that, you have to learn how to live your own dream and not be the character in someone else's dream. It's good food for thought. Very intense. And that's why I love A Course in Miracles, because it really gets you going deep. So, Maxine and Brent of Palm Harbor, Florida, sins are beliefs that you impose on yourself and on others. So, and how is this, you may ask? Well, because they limit you to time and place, separate from your brother, and, and it creates, and when I say brother, I mean you who are listening to me are a brother/sister. But in eternity, there's no masculine or female overtone. It's all one. But here in this world, so we can understand it a little better, I use brother/sister. So you who are listening to me are, we are at one with each other. And so my brothers/sisters who are listening to me today, it means that separation puts a space between us. And we only think there's a space between us, but there really isn't. We're only dreaming that there's a space between us. There is no such thing as space and time in eternity. The space you put between your brothers, sisters, as separation is symbolized in your perception by a body being clearly separate from your Creator. The body is nothing. The body one day will perish. The body will one day die. It will not turn to dust, and like we think, because that's only a part of the dream of separation. The body is unreal while we're in this world. It won't last forever. It's gone, but we will last forever. We've always been, and we always will be. We've only been in this world for a short time. So this image I'm trying to paint for you then represents your purpose and passion while in this world, meaning it's up to you to go out and live it the way you want to live it. You design the life that you want to live. You manifest your desires. Nobody else does. I hope this makes sense. I've got to close here. And by the way, I hope you'll join my newsletter. I've got a couple different newsletters. My mastermind group that I talk about that Maxine and Brent are on is a subscription only. And there is, believe me when I say there is a waiting list, because I only have so many subscribers on there. But that's at my website. It's under subscriptions on the menu, jamesnussbaumer.com. But I also have a couple of different free versions of my newsletter, because people might not be ready for a subscription-based mastermind group, and that's fine. That's good, and that's why I have the free versions of my newsletters too, because I keep quite busy. I mean, I write every day, and I just write on this topic all day long, and I speak constantly too. So, but anyways, if you're at my blog where it says "Get the Newsletter," in fact, I think it's on the header above on all my pages, and the footer below and that you can click on that, and that's a free version of my newsletter. And also in the sidebar, the right sidebar at my blog, if you're there at jamesnussbaumer.com/blog, you'll see scroll down a little bit on the right-hand sidebar, you'll see an image of a Course in Miracles text. It says ACIM Explored. You can click on that and subscribe to my free newsletter. So I hope that you will. And I hope you'll support my books. And I hope that you'll support my work, because I often recommend products from other authors who I believe in, because their products have helped me, and so I want to refer them to you. Also, these people refer my books to their people that follow them. And that's all makes sense, and that's how the world works. I'm sure you can understand that. So, with that being said, I hope that you will, because, hey, I've got tremendous books, 3 books, but they're not going to give you all the answers you need. So that's why I refer you to other people too. And I never would refer anybody to anything if I don't 1000% believe in it. So with that being said, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube. If you're at YouTube, click on subscribe right now if you would. If you're at my website, in the header above and the footer below is a YouTube icon. You can click on it and subscribe. I hope that you are thinking a lot about your own life and all the natural beauty that you possess inside, and that the world is just waiting for you to reflect that inner beauty from within yourself to your material world, and making your life situation just a wonderful thing. I've got to run now. I wish the best for you in life, in love, and all the success the world has to offer you. I also hope that you pursue living your true free will. I've got to go now. James Nussbaumer signing off. God bless.